Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
And right now at noon, tensions are mounting across Minnesota and the nation. The latest on the deadly shooting by an ICE agent there. New details in the search for a missing CPS teacher here. What friends and family are doing today to try and find answers. And let's give you a live look outside here. It is certainly the calm after the storm. What a beautiful look at our skyline. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Natalie Bumke. I'm sure you're drying out after the torrential rain overnight. Hopefully your basement's doing okay. Hey, look at this video that we captured from Cicero. Cars were stuck in the high water and they had to be pushed out or towed. This is the Cicero Avenue and 55th, the cross streets there. In addition to that, high winds knocked down a traffic light, landing on a car and cracking the windshield in yet another area of Cicero, and luckily no one was injured. And what a mess on the Dan Ryan. This is video on the southbound side at 31st. You can see water there flooding the local lanes. Cars had to slowly drive through. Well, we've dried out for now. Let's give you another vantage point here at 2800 Lakeshore Drive. You can see, I'm sure that those bodies of water are filled to the very brim, Caitlin.
That image on the Dan Ryan. Oh my goodness. So
Can't
scary.
Get over it.
So scary. Yeah, we had record rainfall yesterday. This shot, this is the local lanes. This is what I mean. They're kind of stuck there because you can see the divider between the express and the local lanes. I drive this every day. Natalie, you would have no choice. And we encourage you not to do this, okay, by the way. If you have the option to turn around, do that instead because we don't want you to get stranded and you don't know how deep that water is. In the meantime, you saw from those live shots, Natalie pointed out we are drying out. It is actually a lovely early afternoon. We have some breaks in the cloud cover, so some blue sky peeking through. And the temperatures, they're not bad. We're dropping compared to where we were earlier this morning, but we're still in the 40s. And with that sun, it's pleasant, especially from the lakefront to Midway, stretching south into portions of Will County. The rest of us fighting with the clouds, especially in northwest Indiana. But we are going to have that drier weather here for the rest of the day. So that's going to make a huge difference. And if you can get outside comfortably, really. 40 degrees at DeKalb, 45 in Gary, 43 at the lakefront, 46 at O'Hare, 42 in Valpo. So these temperatures, again, they're not bad, but we do have a little bit of a gust still. Winds around 20 to 25 miles per hour at times. The wind gusts right now in Waukegan, 24 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour from DeKalb to Woodstock, 12 at O'Hare. So the wind is going to die down as well. 3-day forecast, temperatures continue to plummet and tomorrow's high 38. We have the chance for a rain-snow mix moving in tonight and early tomorrow. And then tomorrow during the day, it's going to transition over to snowfall. Now, the good news is little to no accumulation is expected, under an inch if at all. For the Bears game tomorrow evening, which, by the way, you can watch here on Fox Chicago at 7. It is going to be cold, temperatures hovering right around 30. But then on Sunday, our high is only freezing. So that winter feel is going to be back this weekend. Luckily, with that snowfall tomorrow, we don't expect big impacts, perhaps some slick roads as that snow is falling. But then 32 with more sunshine on Sunday. Natalie.
Thanks, Caitlin. The FBI is offering a $10,000 reward for information on a suspect who robbed an armored truck. This happened outside a Chase Bank in Brighton Park back in December. Police say the suspect approached the armored truck and opened fire, hitting the victim in both thighs. The 49-year-old was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The suspect took off in this silver sedan, heading south on Troy before turning east on 44th Street. Anyone with information should contact the FBI. A bomb threat at St. Ignatius High School cancels classes for the day. School officials there say they received a phone call about several bombs on campus. Chicago police arrived shortly after. They swept the buildings as well as school vehicles. The school says it did cancel classes today out of an abundance of caution. The FBI and police continue to investigate. And new developments in the search for a missing teacher as police pinpoint her last known location. Roseanne Tejas has the latest.
After nearly a week of not knowing what happened to Linda Brown, today family and friends were able to fan out and search the area where she was last seen, thanks to some surveillance video and new clues. Chicago police found Linda Brown's car parked near 35th Street and Lake Park Avenue, the first break in a week-long mystery. Surveillance cameras showed her getting out and walking across the pedestrian bridge at 3 a.m. last Saturday. From there, dogs tracked her scent directly to the lakefront. This morning, from 31st Street Beach down to Oakwood Avenue and points in between, family and friends of the special education teacher, loved by so many, set out to find answers.
I care about her, and I think people are still holding out hope. I know it doesn't look good, so I just thought that it would be important to come out here and feel helpful and just feel supportive and hope that she's found, or hope that there's at least some answers, because I think it's just been really rough.
What went through your mind when you heard that your cousin was missing?
I was in total shock. It's not like her at all. She's a great woman. She loves kids, and I'm just hoping for the best.
Brown, a special education teacher at Healy Elementary in Bridgeport, has been missing 6 days. Her husband and friends say she's faced mental health challenges but has never disappeared like this. They're trying to stay hopeful.
I'm thankful for everyone helping, support to find my wife. It's great. You know, I wish we had more people to cover more ground, but, you know, this is a good start. If you want to come join, please come help.
Linda's husband, Antoine Brown, is asking anyone who wants to participate to please join them on the lakefront. There's a lot of territory to cover, and they're hoping the more eyes, the better. Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
Thank you, Roseanne. The man accused of murdering his wife will be extradited back to Chicago next week. Adam Beckering is currently serving time in Michigan for separate domestic abuse charges. A Cook County judge issued an arrest warrant in October for first-degree murder. Prosecutors accuse Beckering of throwing his wife, Caitlin Tracy, down the stairwell of a South Loop high-rise in 2024 where he lived. Tracy was 36 years old. Illinois is once again suing the Trump administration, this time to get access to $1 billion in child care funding that the state is owed. Political reporter Paris Schatz has the latest.
Yeah, Natalie, this lawsuit was filed by Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul late last night, basically saying the Trump administration cannot withhold this $1 billion for social services in Illinois, largely for child care services, as the Trump administration has put a halt to this funding to Illinois and many other states amid the ongoing investigations into fraud in Minnesota. And earlier today, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin said that that funding is owed and desperately needed.
Is there evidence of fraud? No. But there is evidence of the fact that in the last presidential election, our state did not vote for this president, but voted for another candidate. And so now President Trump has said the children must pay the price.
And indeed, this withholding of funding is hitting Democratic voting states like Illinois, California, and Minnesota. The lawsuit alleges that this money cannot legally be withheld, as it has already been appropriated by Congress for these programs that basically subsidize child care and daycare for working parents. Now, one of the representatives of the largest union that represents these workers says that this will impact tens of thousands of families and children in Illinois.
When we talk about the impact of this payment freeze, we're talking about 100,000 parents. We're talking about 152,000 children who receive care through the Child Care Assistance Program. And we're talking about more than 50,000 child care workers, home child care providers and child care center workers who keep kids safe, provide them with a space to learn and grow, and, you know, who they themselves are low-wage workers as well.
And indeed, the Trump administration has directed the DOJ to look into fraud in some of these social service programs amid what's going on in Minnesota. But they have not alleged yet or accused any specific instances of fraud here in Illinois while they're withholding this money, which is why this lawsuit has gone forward. We should note, Natalie, there have been many, many lawsuits against the Trump administration for withholding funding to Chicago and Illinois. And Chicago and Illinois have unilaterally won these lawsuits. If we go back to 2017, when the city of Chicago sued the Trump administration for withholding federal funding because it was a sanctuary city, basically the courts ruled that's not a legal basis to withhold funding from the city. So perhaps a similar outcome here. We'll see if that money gets unlocked. And as in terms of these social service providers, I asked that last speaker there, will they go out of business? Will they keep working? And they said, this is like the budget impasse under Governor Rauner many years ago when there wasn't a budget for 2 years. They kept working. They kept operating. They just didn't get paid. It took them a year to get paid. Might be a similar scenario right now.
Yeah, because you got to wonder, you know, how long is it going to take for this to get through the courts? All right, thanks so much, Paris.
You got it,
You'll
Natalie.
keep us posted on that. Well, tomorrow, Bears and Packers renew one of the NFL's oldest rivalries. They're going to face off at Soldier Field in the playoffs wild card game. Several Packers players have made it known that they wanted to play the Bears in the playoffs. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson said they have a chance to end the Bears season, and that means a whole lot to those Packers. But Bears wide receiver and Superman DJ Moore had this to say.
Always chirping. It's always like some talking going on somewhere, somehow, during the game, before the game, always. And, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the rivalry, it speaks for itself.
You can watch the Packers and Bears game tomorrow at 7 o'clock right here on Fox Chicago. Our coverage begins with Bears Game Day Live at 12:30. And then stay with us on Fox Chicago, because after the game, we've got full post-game coverage on your home of the Bears. And we will be right back.
This January.
Today, the mayor of Minneapolis saying he is deeply concerned about the Trump administration excluding Minnesota investigators from its probe after an ICE officer shot and killed a woman there on Wednesday. The agency says the woman was a protester who was using her vehicle as a weapon. Meanwhile, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has put the National Guard on standby in case law enforcement needs assistance with protesters. Oliviana Calmes has been there since the protests started. And Oliviana, what is the main concern today? How has this crowd continued to build?
Yeah, Natalie, the protests have really ramped up since this morning. You can see that crowd behind me right now. We just had a few ICE cars come through, and they actually arrested 2 people here. They detained 2 people. What people tell me is one person came up to the car, hit one of the ICE cars. Regardless, ICE has been pushing this crowd back, and they're on this other side right here right now. So the crowd has just gotten bigger. It's gone from 5 to about all the people that you saw there, probably 40, 50, maybe more, up to 100 100 people right now, and the unrest in the city is just palpable, including by the schools here. The Minneapolis Public Schools saying that they're planning to go remote learning, or at least have that as an option until February 12th. That's a month from now because of all this unrest.
ICE agents deliberately wait outside the school building during drop-off and pickup times, trying to catch parents and take them away. The consequences of those actions are devastating.
You know, you mentioned the Minnesota National Guard on standby now to support law enforcement. Governor Walz is also urging protesters to stay peaceful. He says compassion and accountability are the answer, not violence. But yesterday, officers used tear gas here and arrested at least a dozen protesters who confronted Border Patrol officers. Today, we've seen at least pepper balls, paintball guns, at least being held by the agents here. Now, Border Patrol Chief Greg Bavino is defending the federal response.
Every city we've been to, whether it's Chicago, Los Angeles, or now Minneapolis, take a look at what President Trump and Secretary Noem have accomplished. Double-digit figure drop in crime. Let me say that again, Laura. Double-digit figures drops in crime. And that's why we're here. And you're going to see that here in Minneapolis starting yesterday.
I want to continue telling you about what it's like here. Some of the signs saying justice for Renee Good. We know that's the woman who was killed in that ICE-involved shooting on Wednesday. And really all these messages is to get ICE out of the city. Natalie.
All right, Liviana, thank you. And as tensions remain high in Minneapolis, an FBI investigation is underway in Portland after 2 people were shot and wounded by federal immigration agents during a targeted vehicle stop. The federal government says agents were trying to stop a couple who had ties to a Venezuelan gang. And that's when the agency claims the pair tried to run agents over. They were both shot. They are in the hospital. Mayor Keith Wilson says he wants more information.
We know what the federal government says happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. That is why we are calling on ICE to halt all operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation can take place.
The back-to-back incidents have sparked widespread protests and intensified criticism of federal activity in metropolitan areas. The owners of a popular Swiss Alps bar that caught fire, killing dozens of people on New Year's Eve, are now being detained. Prosecutors say that the couple are a flight risk. That's why they've been taken into custody. Over 40 people died in the fire. More than 100 people were hurt during the New Year's celebration. Many of those injured and killed were teenagers. Prosecutors say the fire was likely caused by sparkling candles on top of champagne bottles that ignited the ceiling of the bar's basement, which was covered in a foam material that was used for soundproofing. Authorities are also looking at safety inspections, which they say had not been carried out since 2019. Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO, is back in federal court in Manhattan today. His lawyers are asking a judge to dismiss some of the charges, including the only count that could carry the death penalty. They also asked to block evidence they say was improperly obtained. Prosecutors counter that the charges and evidence are valid and should move forward. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The Supreme Court did not rule on the legality of tariffs imposed by President Trump. There had been speculation that a ruling could come down today, but the High Court released just one opinion. The case involves a number of businesses affected by those tariffs, including a toy company right here in our viewing area. Now, it's unclear when the tariff ruling will be released. The Supreme Court will release its next rulings on Wednesday. Political prisoners are being released and oil policy is being realigned. President Trump says the Venezuelan government is giving the U.S. exactly what it wants, and that is expected to continue at least for now. Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
The post-Maduro era ramping up in Venezuela with the release of high-profile political prisoners on Friday. Some have been behind bars for years, and most are part of the opposition to former leader Nicolas Maduro, who was arrested by the U.S. over the weekend.
What can I say? I'm happy. This incredible news that will finally happen, the release of these people deprived of their liberty.
President Trump called the move a smart gesture and claimed credit, saying he's working well with the new Venezuelan government.
We asked them to do that, and they've been great. They really have been. I mean, everything we've wanted, they've given us.
He also says the prisoner release prevented more military action, writing on social media, quote, "I have canceled the previously expected second wave of attacks, which looks like it will not be needed. But U.S. forces in the area remain on alert. And on Friday, they seized another Venezuelan-linked oil tanker in the Caribbean."
There won't be revenge, but vindication when we give lessons and give examples of what peace diplomacy looks like.
It comes as the president meets with the heads of the 14 biggest American oil companies at the White House. He's trying to get them to invest $100 billion into Venezuela's oil market. But Big Oil says it wants guarantees their money won't be stolen.
They lost billions of dollars in investments when the regime stole those assets. They stole those leases. They stole private property.
The president says he'll meet with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado next week at the White House. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox Chicago.
The Senate is advancing a resolution that would limit President Trump's ability to carry out further attacks against Venezuela. Democrats and 5 Republicans held a test vote to advance the War Powers Resolution, ensuring a future vote for final passage. Now, even if it does pass, it would still need President Trump's signature to become law. And the president now wants more funding for the military. The move is boosted by a series of successful military operations within the past year. President Trump proposes an historic increase in defense spending, looking at here a $1.5 trillion by next year. That is a 50% increase from this year. The president targeted payouts and capped salaries for U.S. defense contractors, whom he accuses of fleecing the American taxpayer. Now to Iran. Security forces say it will crack down on protesters once again. Millions of people have taken to the streets of Iran. The death toll from the protest is now over 50. Authorities cut the internet and telephone access immediately after protesters took to the streets yesterday. Experts say such national blackouts generally come before the government uses deadly force against those on the street. Iranian state media is showing those demonstrations and repeatedly calling protesters terrorists. 12:22 now, and we want to turn back to the forecast here in our area. Yesterday, the rain was unbelievable, and so was the wind, Caitlin.
The gusty winds, we had heavy downpours, we had flooding throughout Chicago, we had an advisory, even a flood advisory that held on through this morning. Right now, though, it's pretty calm and quiet. You can see these cameras behind me. We have some blue sky peeking through. So let's start off talking about the satellite radar, because we are dry finally. Now, you may still see some standing water in a few spots, but overall we're going to have that drying trend continue through the day, so that water will be receding. Behind me you can see, though, as far as satellite goes, a few breaks in the clouds, not only over our beautiful city, but as we head a little further south, portions of Will County, Kankakee getting in on that sunshine. So what you're looking at here is the white part is the clouds. The dark part is actually where it is bright outside, believe it or not. So we are going to have partly to mostly cloudy skies today. More sunshine on the way this afternoon. Temperatures are in the 40s. Our high today was 60. That was at midnight, a record for today. Right now, though, we're sitting at 44 degrees at the lakefront, 45 in Gary and Midway, 46 at O'Hare, 41 at Woodstock, and 42 in Waukegan, 44 at LaSalle. Here's your futurecast as I take you through the afternoon. Again, we are going to be seeing more sun for the second half of the day. This evening, it is going to be back down to the 30s, but tonight, that's when the clouds thicken up and the chance for wet weather is back in the form of a rain-snow mix as we head into early Saturday. Temperatures hovering in the low to mid 30s to start off the day tomorrow. And we are going to have that transition from the mix over to snow. And then for game time. So tomorrow is the Bears' Day. It's the Bears' Day. Now we have the chance for a few snowflakes around, but luckily with the snowfall that we are going to see on Saturday, minimal if any accumulation is expected, under an inch Temperature-wise, in the 30s. So for the game, we're going to be hovering in the upper 20s to low 30s. This is 9 o'clock, and you can see the upper 20s to low 30s throughout Chicagoland. Heading into Sunday, it's going to be cooler but quiet. Temperatures reaching around freezing as our high with more sunshine. A full check of your 7-day forecast, including when the 40s return next week, is coming up. Nat.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. We've got a consumer alert for you. More than 74,000 car seats recalled over possible injuries. We'll tell you how to check yours.
Here come the lucky one.
An important recall for parents. The Even Flow company is recalling 75,000 of its all-for-one, 4-in-1 convertible car seat. Now, there are concerns that the car seat may shift positions when it is rear-facing. Right now, no reports of injuries linked to those recalled seats. The company says it plans to start mailing out letters to affected owners starting at the end of this month, offering a free replacement. They do note here you don't have to return the seat and that they are, quote, safe to continue using in the meantime. Johnson & Johnson says it has agreed to a deal with the Trump administration to lower drug prices and increase access to common prescriptions. The deal will also exempt the company's drugs from tariffs. The lower costs will be applied to drugs offered in the Medicaid program, as well as the new direct-to-patient platform dubbed Trump RX. Well, if you've noticed your child is tired or extra moody, could be due to the winter blues. Anna Iliopoulos shares tips from the Kids Mental Health Foundation that can boost their mood in just minutes a day.
Now that the holidays are over, the weather has gotten colder and kids are returning to their routines, many may experience the seasonal blahs, a slump in motivation and mood.
It's normal for us to see our kids have a little slump, but we want to make sure that it doesn't become something worse.
Tiredness, low energy levels, sadness, and irritability are just some of the possible symptoms children experiencing seasonal blahs may exhibit. And when they feel that way, it may be hard to feel better. To combat this, the Kids Mental Health Foundation recommends using behavioral activation, which is doing something fun and connecting with people even if they may not feel like doing it.
And the reason that works is when you think about depression or symptoms of depression is it takes our energy and our motivation away. Behavior activation disrupts that.
Every day, kids should pick activities from each of the 3 categories, including things like screen time, going on a hike, or singing for fun. To feel proud, they can opt to read, practice a sport, or do an art project. And to connect, they can join a school club, have a sleepover, or even just call or text a friend.
Behavioral activation really is important that the child is choosing something that matters to them versus the parent telling them, get up and go do something. For kids that are having a really hard time, even just 15 minutes a day is enough. And then again, as they get better, as they start to feel that motivation, you can increase the time.
Behavioral activation is a tool for kids of all ages and even adults. But if your child is in a slump every day for more than 2 weeks and is not functioning in their day-to-day life, that's when experts say it's time to seek help from a mental health professional.
It's starting to cause impairment. Your child just can't do their daily life things. They don't want to hang out with people. They don't want to have fun. They just don't want to go to school. That's when I start to worry about a clinical level than your typical winter blues.
In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
And we've got more news ahead for you here on Fox 32 News at noon. Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the top stories we're following for you at noon. Tensions growing after a woman was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minnesota. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has put the National Guard on standby in case law enforcement needs assistance with violent protests. In the first incident, the agent shot and killed a woman by the name of Renee Nicole Good while she was in her car on Wednesday. The Department of Homeland Security says Good was blocking agents with her vehicle and then tried to use it as a weapon when the agent fired, defending himself and others. Good's family disputes that claim. A new search effort here locally underway to find a missing Chicago public school teacher. Volunteers were out this morning looking for Linda Brown. The special ed teacher has been missing since last Saturday. Brown's husband says her car has been found, and there is surveillance video of her walking away from the vehicle at 3 o'clock in the morning toward Lake Michigan. And the biggest game of the year, it's almost here. Tomorrow, the Bears will square off against their biggest rivals, the Green Bay Packers, at Soldier Field in the first game of the playoffs. This is the third time the two teams have ever squared off in the postseason in their entire existence. And you can watch the game tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here on Fox Chicago. Meteorologist Caitlin Cody joins us as we take a live look at Soldier Field, getting ready for the big festivities tomorrow, Caitlin.
Remember yesterday it was all covered?
Yep.
That was so smart. All that heavy rain that we dealt with. Yes, the game is tomorrow. We have big changes in the forecast. If you're making your plans for your Saturday, no, we'll skip ahead. Look, light snow is possible tomorrow. But before we get there, dropping temperatures. What I mean by that is our high already happened at midnight. We are at 60. Now we're in the 40s. So that's going to be the case through the rest of the day. But the 30s are back this weekend with that chance for some light snow moving in on your Saturday. Speaking of that heavy rainfall, take a look. We have that 2-inch plus stripe here, that yellow shade indicating where we had the heaviest rainfall yesterday into last night from Chicago, pointing south through Joliet down into Grundy County. The dark green colors that you're seeing, including Evanston down to Aurora, 1 to 1.5 inches for most in that dark green color. And then the light green shade indicates where we had 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rainfall. So we had heavy rain, gusty winds, and now it's relatively quiet. The clouds are starting to break apart. Behind me, you can see in our regional view, we have some peaks of sunshine happening. That's going to be the trend through the rest of the day. Quieter weather. Temperatures, yes, it is a little bit cooler than we were this morning, but we still feel good. Mild, above normal, 45 degrees at the lakefront and in Gary, 46 at O'Hare, 43 in Aurora, 46 in Kankakee, and 45 at LaSalle. Let's check in on these wind speeds where we're seeing gusts of 24 miles per hour in Waukegan, 19 in Gary, the rest of us around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's your futurecast again the rest of the day, quiet. As we head into tonight, that's when the chance for rain-snow mix moves in. Tomorrow during the day, some light snow, minimal, if any, accumulation, under 1 inch. But as we work our way into Sunday, temperatures are going to be even colder, but it's going to be dry with a high of about freezing on Sunday. So your Bears forecast, all important Bears forecast tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock. Temperatures are going to be in the low 30s to start, ending in the upper 20s. If you want to stay at home, watch on TV, right here, this is where you got to be to watch the game again tomorrow evening. But we're going to have coverage all day tomorrow about the Bears. 7-day forecast. I mentioned how it's going to be colder on Sunday with a high of 32. Well, we're back to 42 on Monday with sunny skies. Tuesday around 44 with a chance for wet weather returning by the middle of next week. 34 degrees Wednesday. Thursday around 28. So that winter feel is back by the middle and end of next week with some wet weather. In the meantime, today it is going to be quiet. Those winds slowly dying down with that drying trend. Natalie, back to you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Just an incredible moment for a teenager going through a brave medical battle, all thanks to Derrick Rose. The Bulls legend surprised 15-year-old Delvin McGee with an invitation to join the team on its upcoming road trip to Brooklyn. This happened at Simeon Carter Academy, where Rose attended high school. McGee is undergoing treatment for stage 2 lymphoma. And he talked about the moment that he saw D. Rose.
I didn't even know that was him at first.
You had to look again?
Yeah, I was like, what, shorty? It mean a lot to me. I ain't never been out of town.
God bless him and good luck on his journey. McGee and his family will get to travel with the Bulls. The game against the Nets is next Friday. Well, if you're behind on student loans, garnishments are restarting. What this means for borrowers next.
Proceed, counselor.
If you'd like to get your taxes filed early, the 2026 tax filing season officially begins on January 26 when the IRS starts accepting 2025 returns. Now, the deadline to file and avoid penalties is April 15th. Experts warn that staffing cuts at the IRS could slow processing this year, but agency leaders say systems are ready. The IRS expects about 164 million returns, with refunds possibly larger under new tax laws. If you're thinking about buying a home this year, now might be the best time to do it. Recent research by financial company LendingTree found January has the lowest price per square foot and is about 8% cheaper than May. This could possibly save home buyers around $23,000 on a typical 1,500 square foot home. Let's take a live look at the New York Stock Exchange. Right now, the Dow Jones is trading up 255 points. And it's time to look at your business headlines with Jerry Willis.
The first clean read of the job market since the government shut down in September shows employers holding back on hiring. A weaker than expected 50,000 jobs were added last month. The unemployment rate dropped more than expected to 4.4%. Revisions for November and October showed 76,000 fewer jobs added. For all of 2025, 584,000 jobs were added. Jobs were added in healthcare and social assistance. Manufacturing, though, lost 8,000 jobs. Construction lost 11,000, and retail lost 25,000. Big bank earnings kicking off next week. J.P. Morgan reporting Tuesday, followed by Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citi on Wednesday. America's largest banks expected to see larger fourth-quarter profits, fueled by a surge in investment banking revenue as deal-making accelerates.
We think that this year is going to be about fundamentals and not the Fed, and earnings growth is going to drive stock prices this year.
And we're already at the time of the year when most Americans abandon their New Year's resolutions. But if you're still sticking with it, the most popular New Year's resolutions this year are to save more money, eat healthier, exercise more, and lose weight. And if you're one of the quitters, there's always next year. Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
The Trump administration starting to send out wage garnishment notices to defaulted federal student loan borrowers nationwide. Jennifer Franco has more on what comes next.
The good news is it's a new year, so we can start a new leaf. So if we've been delinquent in the past, we don't have to continue that.
Federal student loan borrowers in default must face reality now that a pandemic-era pause is long gone. As of June 2025, Education Department figures show more than 5 million borrowers in default, accounting for 7% of the roughly $1.6 trillion in student debt. Another 4 million borrowers are in serious delinquency, meaning no payment in over 90 days, and that number could rise as changes are made to repayment programs.
Right now, the level of personal debt in the country is at really high levels. And so people have been borrowing on their credit card.
USD economics professor Alan Jin says inflation and the high cost of living in San Diego contribute to the crisis. But this week, the Department of Education says it will send out about 1,000 notices to defaulted borrowers, with more to follow in the months ahead.
That could have some negative impacts then on the rest of the economy because if people have to pay these loans back, they won't have money to spend then on discretionary items like eating out or retail.
Debt collection efforts had been paused for 5 years, but last spring, the Trump administration made its plans to resume clear.
Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections.
Defaulted borrowers could see up to 15% of their pay garnished.
As you get the notices, you do have 30 days, so it's not like an immediate garnishment of wages. You have time to prepare.
Wealth management advisor with Northwestern Mutual, Joy Dow, says if you are in default, make a plan.
What's the payment I can't afford to make? And a lot of times when you've fallen into delinquency, if you reach out to your loan servicer, you can put in a rehabilitation plan.
You can also stop garnishment by requesting a hearing or consolidating your loans. Dow says whatever you do, don't ignore the notice.
If that means picking up extra shifts, looking at gig work or anything like that, building this into your budget.
Our noon show will be wrapping up in just about 20 minutes, but Chicago Live is just getting started, and Anita Blanton's standing by with a look ahead. Hey, Anita.
Hey, Natalie. Happy Friday to you and everyone watching right now. Okay, let's talk about some of the conversations we have coming up between 1 and 4 p.m. today for Chicago Live Online. We're going to talk to the author of a new study that has some surprising and also concerning results of a study into who is wearing helmets when they're riding e-scooters and e-bikes. We see people all over the place zooming in on those. Plus, we're going to talk about a famous Rogers Park house that's getting ready to make its national debut on HGTV, but it's known as one of the ugliest houses in America. So how much renovation do you really want to do? And we'll also be talking about, of course, the Bears game coming up tomorrow. We're talking with our sports team, but also the one and only Israel Adonijah, who's a former Bear. So we'll get his predictions, plus what's going to be happening at his sports bar over the weekend as well, Natalie.
All right, I love that guy. Thanks so much, Anita. The Bears are getting ready, obviously, for their biggest game of the season. Coming up, Cassie Carlson will join us next with more on the wild card matchup with the Packers. We're just one day away. We've been talking about it all week from the latest chapter in the NFL's oldest rivalry, Bears and Packers. It is tomorrow night right here on Fox Chicago. And this one has all the makings of an historic matchup. Cassie Carlson in studio with more. Hi, Cassie.
Hi, Natalie. We are so excited for this game. And, we see the Packers twice a year regardless. It's actually only the third time the Bears and Packers have met in the playoffs. And, of course, they met in the season already twice. And they're going to meet for the third time in a matter of 35 days. So the familiarity runs deep between the two sides, which makes the stakes feel that much higher. The Bears are focused on executing the fundamentals. Ben Johnson's coaching in the playoffs for a third straight year and in his first year as head coach of the Bears, and he said he never takes trip to the playoffs for granted, while understanding every little detail in play matters and the way they finish matters. Now, cornerback Nahshon Wright has been to the playoffs every year of his career and knows what to expect when he takes the field Saturday night.
There's a lot more cameras out. When you go out for pregame, there's 100 people on the sideline. But other than that, I think it's just a football game. Obviously, the intensity kind of cranks up. You kind of feel it. You can kind of feel it, the atmosphere when you get out there. You can feel it. But I think it's nothing more than that. I think for us, it's just going and taking care of our business. Not worrying about the outside distractions, the outside noise, and just going in there focusing on what we need to do to win.
Swift and Brisker both said that they're having a hard time sleeping this week. Do you have a hard time sleeping, or do you sleep good on weeks like this?
Nah, I'm sleeping good. I got to get my rest. I got a tall task ahead of me, so I'm trying to get all my sleep in. But you definitely go to bed thinking about it, but nah, I'm getting my sleep.
Well, Fox Chicago is your destination for the Bears and Packers on Saturday. Our coverage begins with Bears Game Day Live at 12:30. NFL doubleheader begins at 3:30, and no matter what happens with the Rams and Panthers, we'll bring you kickoff of Bears and Packers at 7 o'clock. Then stay with us after the game for full reaction and analysis. And, of course, we have plenty more tonight as well. Make sure to come back for the news at 5 for more Bears coverage as we give you the best quotes from Hallis Hall this week in preparation for the Packers and a special 1-hour Chicago Sports Tonight playoff preview from 6 to 7 and 9:30 to 10:30 right here on Fox Chicago, your home of the Bears, Natalie.
All right. I don't know when you guys sleep. I don't think you ever do. There you go, Cassie. All right, thank you. We'll be right back.
An epic showdown that sold.
Obviously, the Chicago Bears have had a very successful season, but for many players, it's about finding success on and off the field. Jake Hamilton hung out with some former players, making a huge difference in the community.
That's right, guys. Just about every school in the area is getting ready to bear down this weekend, but there are a couple that are feeling Bears fever just a little more than everyone else, and it's because they are led by some of the greatest Bears of all time. Bears legend, former player, Jason McKee, fullback. Now, it's so funny. I was talking with Jason earlier, and I used the term Bears legend. He said, just a fullback, just a fullback. I said, you cannot put just and fullback in the same sentence. First of all, thank you for taking the time, man. Good to see you. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Thanks for coming. You know, another great opportunity for the Bears, obviously facing the Packers on Saturday. A Saturday night game in front of a live audience. You know, the nation will be watching. Another opportunity for the Bears to get a victory and move on in the playoffs.
Talk to me about some of the lessons that you learned on that field that you're now able to pass down to the next generation.
Yeah, you know, playing football at the highest level really teaches you how to be a man, how to be a pro. You've got to make a lot of sacrifice, and that's some things that myself and my staff are trying to implement in these kids, right? To be great, you got to make a lot of sacrifices, right? And if you want to be great, you can't be average, so you can't do what's required. You got to do more than what's required. So, and that's on and off the field. And the good thing is that we have a lot of high character individuals who are good young men who happen to be good football players, and us as a staff, we're trying to implement something in their lives that they can take with them for the rest of their lives, and that's bigger than just us developing them into being good football players.
Robbie Gould joins us this morning, head football coach here at St. Vitus. First of all, dude, an honor. Thank you for taking the time, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here this morning. I appreciate it.
Okay, talk a little bit about so many lessons you learned over the course of your career on the field. What are some of the most important lessons that you learned that you thought it was important to kind of pass on to the next generation of players?
Yeah, when I decided that I wasn't going to play football anymore, I was kind of helping coach a little bit. I had a friend of mine ask me, do you want to get into this kind of full time? And the biggest thing for me getting into high school football is to help young kids learn the attributes that you need. If you want to go play football in college, awesome. And if not, everything that we're trying to instill in our kids is discipline, hard work, accountability. First of all, being an awesome academic person. Second, being a great human being. And then third, think you can be a great athlete. So to me, it's just awesome to be able to continue to develop the game in the area. But more importantly, it's fun to be around groups of kids who are truly like making a difference, not only like in our community, but just in the general community in which they live in or they're a part of. That's what I hope these kids do.
Well, we have a perfect example of someone who's doing just that. Shane, you just received Shane is maybe the most humble person I've ever met, and I told him, dude, on TV, it's not the time for humility. Brag about the award that you just received.
I just won the Arlington Heights Heart of Gold Award, which in this community is a very big honor for us.
Really quick, guys, before we go, we're getting the hard wrap. I got to ask really quick, Bears predictions.
I think it's going to be an awesome game. We got 4 unbelievable coordinators. The Packers, unfortunately, have been pretty banged up recently. If the Bears can run the football, I like the Bears winning by 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
But I do think the new rivalry with Ben and LaFleur is going to be a lot of fun to watch for years to come.
Final score?
I'm not biased, but I'm going to have to say 90-0 Bears.
That sounds, you know what? I think that's good. I think that's a good call. All right, guys, you've heard it, but I'm going to say it again. Bears, Packers, Saturday night, right here on Fox 32. You don't want to miss it as we toss it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks so much, Jake. How about this? A living room on wheels. Coming up, how this couple came up with a motorized sofa.
The following
Check out this couple transforming a parking spot into their living room in Lexington, Kentucky. You can see the woman bundling up with blankets, and eventually they drive off. It looks like the man is steering with a table. Took a while to turn toward the street, giving the cameraman more time to show off the Supreme sofa, which actually has some solid speed. The woman says the couch can reach at least 30 miles per hour. That is incredible, Caitlin.
Is that legal?
Probably not. I was thinking the same thing, but I'm like, what a fun invention.
Oh, I want one of those for the neighborhood. Can you imagine just scooting around? Hi, guys, come on the couch. So funny. They've got a little table behind it. That is too much. All right, you guys, our weather, it has been a busy 24 hours. We had heavy downpours last night, gusty winds into this morning, and now things are calm and quiet, but it isn't 60 degrees outside. That was at midnight. Right now, we're in the mid-40s. That's going to be there for the rest of the day, the mix of the 40s. Now, we have the chance for wet weather moving in tomorrow. Tomorrow is Bears Saturday, one more night, and the big Bears game tomorrow evening, which you can watch here on Fox Chicago. Temperatures are going to be in the 30s tomorrow afternoon. We have the chance for some snow around. Starting off as a rain-snow mix early in the morning, and then light snow by midday. And by the evening, by the time the game is going on, we're going to have some snowflakes, few and far between. Minimal, if any, accumulation is expected. But it is going to be cold for the game. Temperatures hovering right around 30. For Sunday, our high